And today I have a very special guest from Israel, and I'm very excited to have her here. Her name is Faran Livneh, and we know each other from social media, which is great how many people you can meet in social media and connect and create something like this. And we have something in common. We both love constellation work, systemic family constellation work. We are trained in it in different countries. So I'm so looking forward to this conversation. And there's so much trauma in Israel that needs healing. So I can't wait to hear more from Faran what she has to share about that. I want to share a little bit about her because she has an interesting combination. She helps a lot with trauma, yes, and she combines also Eastern philosophy, Buddhism, yoga, and multicultural. And her multicultural upbringing gives it a really beautiful combination altogether. And I actually, Farhan, would like to say, share a little bit about yourself, what you're exactly doing.
Definitely. I'm happy to be here. I'm
Yeah,
happy to
me
discuss.
too, me too.
Thank you. So yes, today I'm mainly like the basis of what I do is constellation work.
Hmm.
But before that, I was very much into, yoga and Eastern philosophies. And I'm not speaking of like, Western Vinyasa yoga in the studios. I was very much into the depth of it. And I was doing Hatha yoga and um
Yeah.
and I liked the like I was suffering from panic attacks actually when I was 16, and I was very much alone with that, and I tried so many different things, and then when I found yoga it was like, wow, this is the first time something actually helps,
Hmm.
because I was not trying to run away from the anxiety or understand the anxiety or analyze the anxiety. I was just being with the anxiety,
Yeah.
and also on a spiritual philosophical level, but mainly on a physical level, and that's like where the somatics come into play, of like just being with the physical symptoms of the anxiety, and then suddenly something happens and the healing actually takes place. Like that's the place where it takes place. So that was very much the beginning of my own process.
And that was during a constellation that you did.
No, this was still, I'm still with the yoga. So
Oh,
that's
okay,
when
okay,
I
okay.
got into all of, yeah, that's when I
Yeah.
got all into all of that. Um, and then at some point, it's really by chance, like someone told me about constellations. Um, it sounded interesting, so I went to a workshop.
And that was in Israel?
I was mind blown. No, this was in Berlin. I was living in Berlin
Berlin.
at the
Yeah.
time. Yes. So I went to this one workshop. It wasn't my own constellation. I was just representing someone in their constellation. I was mind blown. I felt like in this one session of, 2 hours or whatever it was, I was getting, very much to the core, to the root of things that I have been trying to resolve or heal or work on for years. So I was fascinated, and then I decided to learn it and
Yeah.
become a facilitator myself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you
Yeah.
studied in Berlin, then you went to Israel, and you became a holistic therapist, combining all those methods. So how is it going? What actually so yeah, this drew you to the work. I totally get that. And same here, of course. But how do you integrate it with yoga, Buddhism, and somatic work? How do you do that when in the workshops? What do you think about that? How does that work for you?
One thing about constellations, like they're very, very powerful, and
Mm-hmm.
they can, in a very short time, bring to the surface, lots of trauma and lots of things that for many years were like, you know, pushed down. So on the one hand, it's amazing and helpful and beautiful, but on the other hand, and that's also what I experienced also while I was learning it, is like it can be potentially dangerous if it's not held in the right way, if it's not
Yeah.
and that's where my background in yoga and Eastern philosophies very much helps me, because how I do constellations, especially in a workshop setting where it's not people who are in process with me and they just come for one time and then they go home, is I will never go to places where I feel that the person is not ready. And how do I do that? Is I really tell the people to listen to their bodies and to see what's happening physically, first of all. And then some constellations, so that's also why I never have an agenda. I wouldn't necessarily go to the family, generation
No.
and generations back, or necessarily go to the trauma immediately or whatever. Sometimes some sessions are just like working with, what's happening. So there's anxiety. Let's listen to the anxiety. What does the anxiety want to say? What does this want to say? And just really being in the present, being with what is, which is a very like Eastern, philosophical
Yeah.
approach,
Yeah.
actually.
And that works wonderfully well together. I can see that. I do that too anyway.
Yeah. So you
And
said you
the,
also have roots in Eastern philosophies, or
say it again.
you said you also have roots in Eastern philosophies, or
Yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it is to combine that. That is fantastic. So then the next thing that I would like to ask is, how do you work? How if you go into a group, or how do you do it one on one? Would you like to explain what you do in a group, or you prefer first to start with one on one? How do you do that?
Um, they're very different. So workshops, I do like once a month.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I plan to also have like really like a process, a group process, which I want to, but I don't have it yet. So the workshops are really a place where people come, they have a theme. We do two constellations, so two people work on, something, a
Like a
person
working client. Yeah.
exactly. Um, but it's also very much like everyone goes through their process. So we start with a meditation, breathing exercises, connecting, to our bodies. There's a lot of space for sharing. There's a sharing round in the beginning, there's a sharing round afterwards. So everyone can really bring themselves, not only the two people who, work on
Yeah.
each. And then, as you know, also the constellation, even if I do come for someone else, I go through my own process. Like I said, my very first constellation, I feel like it healed so much that I'm
Yeah.
still up to this day, remembering and processing, and it wasn't my own.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So that's the structure of the groups. And then one-on-one, I have two like options for working with me. I have like a one-time session, I call it recenter.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's an hour and a half. It's a session where, again, like we will not go into trauma. We will not go because it's like it's one time. So it's really to see like what are you struggling with? Where does it come from? It's like a making a roadmap of, your current situation. So then so there I don't really do a classical constellation in this session. This is really like putting I can show you the we talked about the felts. I can
Yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah.
It makes it easier. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I have these. They actually represent the different aspects of what we're working on.
What does the round mean and what does the square mean?
So the round symbolizes, I guess, feminine energy and this masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but of course, it has meaning, but it
Yeah.
doesn't mean this has to be a woman and this has to be a man. Often, it's going to be very different, which is also interesting, of course. If suddenly I put myself as a square, of course, it means something, and to
Yeah.
everyone, it's going to
And
mean
that
different.
little cut out is like when it would be a person, it would be standing on that and looking into that direction of the cut out, right?
Exactly.
Like it is your nose. Now the
Yes.
nose is cut
The
out there.
direction. If I put
But
it like this, it's
yeah.
facing here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like people always say, like, oh, it looks like Pac-Man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Or an apple when somebody took a bite.
exactly.
Do the colors have meaning to you, or are they just at random?
I mean, I think we all have our like everyone has the meaning that they attribute to color. I never impose my meaning on a client's interpretation of it.
Mhm.
So I would maybe
Yeah, yeah.
suggest,
But
if someone like
you have like color psychology. I have studied that a lot actually. And the color red symbolizes passion, power too, sometimes anger.
yes,
And for instance, with ADHD children, I had one myself, but I had the color blue a lot and the natural colors because it has an influence on you in you. The color you see a lot. You know that from the male cows when they see the color red, they get crazy.
yeah,
So it is sometimes the color can be meaningful too. Not
definitely.
even related to chakras, but still what it tells you, what you need more. Like yeah.
And like you say, like there's a lot of like repeating patterns that unconsciously we all like
Yeah.
this is almost always used for anger.
Yeah.
Like when I tell them put your
Yeah.
anger,
Yeah.
very rarely is it going to be a different color.
So true. And yellow for clearing, and green for healing, and blue, turquoise for communication. That are actually the colors also of the chakras. Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
like interconnected. That's very beautiful.
Mhm.
So then I like how you phrase that, the recenter session.
The recenter session is really like I'm going to tell them, okay, place one for you.
Yeah.
And then let's see what's happening. Really like now in this moment as you are standing here.
Yeah.
Like what's happening to your breath? What's happening on a physical level? Are you tired? Do you have tingling somewhere? Do you have,
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
Um, and then slowly, slowly, we're going to understand actually what, what the issue is that they're dealing with. Sometimes they already have an idea, they already have a story. Sometimes they're surprised to see that the story they had of what they're struggling with actually is something completely different, which again is also the power of this work because it kind of circumvents the rational mind, right? Like,
Oh yeah. Please
things.
close that one. Turn that off for a little while. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And then we're gonna see, like, for example, someone comes and says, like, I feel stuck in my life, and I don't know what are the next steps, on a professional level or romantically or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so we're gonna put the stuckness, and then we're gonna see, okay, so this might be the person, and then she's gonna choose green ones represent the stuckness, and then we'll see, like, is the stuckness facing me, or is it facing away, or is it close, is it far away, what happens when I look at the stuckness. And then sometimes, stuff just happens, so sometimes memories might come up. Sometimes it's going to be more in like an internal process. um, and then slowly, slowly we're going to see, like, what is the stuckness related to.
Yeah.
So, and then if I feel that, they're ready and they want to, often it also already comes from them. I'm going to say, okay, so now, place yourself on the stuckness. So they're going to stand on the
Yeah.
stuckness,
Yeah.
which is very different from a group constellation because in
Yeah.
a
You do it
one-on-one,
all yourself. You do it now all yourself. Yeah.
exactly,
Wonderful. Yeah.
exactly. So you become all the different parts. So she's
Yeah.
going to stand on the stuckness, and slowly, slowly, we're really going to build like a map of like, this is where I am right now. This is what I'm struggling with. It's connected to this and this and this and this, probably in my past. And then I'm going to also, after that, go into, okay, so how do I want to feel? What are actually my goals? How do I want to feel after I'm done? Not done, we're never done healing, but after I've been going through my healing process, like what are my, aspirations? So she might say, I want to be very clear on, what on my job, I want to have I want to feel lightness, I want to feel free, whatever she want, or he or she wants to say. So we're going to put these as well. So this can be the freedom, and this can be the lightness. So whatever she wants to put, she can put. And then we're going to see, okay, what are the steps to get there? And then we're
Wonderful.
going to put the steps. So it's really like you have the present, yourself, the past, what is connected to your struggle, your goals, and how to get there. And then at the end of this recenter session, it's like a really like a clear roadmap and picture of, the situation that she's in. So that's one option, to work with me. And then if they really want to go deeper and they're ready to, do the real work, I have a 3-month program that I call Reroute, which is actually like,
I
I call it.
like that title. That's so
Mhm.
like to the point.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought about it for a long time,
I
and
notice.
well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because your English is great, and
Hmm.
so it's wonderful to that you found that you find the right words because the work is not easy to explain. I think you do it pretty well. How do you work with the client?
Mhm.
It's not easy to explain why it works so well, but it does. And that's really wonderful. So now you said that, I want to explain a little bit about how I do it. I do the same thing that you like you also with those fabrics as well, but I use often also footprints. So
Mhm.
the footprints are very visually so I use often to footprints when there is like a family thing going on. For instance, parents that are worried about their boy in school, 6-year-old Jimmy. That's one of my favorite examples. So then I asked Jimmy, that comes with the mother or the father, I
Mhm.
asked him to choose a pair of footprints for himself. That would be Jimmy representing on the floor. And the funny thing is that kids can do this work so easily because they, I don't know, they understand it and they right away take their
Wow.
footprints and put it on the floor. Sometimes they tease a mother or a father. They take the little ones for the mother or the father. They're making a joke. But Jimmy puts himself in the middle on the floor, in the center, which is good because at the age of 6, you are still the center of the universe, right? That's how your brain works. Then I asked Jimmy, if this would be your father, where would you put him? And then he can, for instance, in this case, he puts it far away, like a yard or a meter away from himself. And then I ask if this would be, then I asked if this would be your mother, where would you like to put them on the floor? And then Jimmy thinks, and he puts them also a yard away or a meter away from him to the right, far away. What you see then right away is how Jimmy feels lonely in the relationship of the parents, and that's why he is in troubles in school often. That's why they came for a session to see more. So you have in 2 seconds or 5 seconds clear the picture where he is positioned as a child, that he
Mhm.
feels his father is there, out, his mother is there, and he's there. So there is probably a lot of relationship issues with them going on. Maybe both of the parents want out of the relationship or they want to divorce, whatever it is. And
Wow.
subconsciously, Jimmy picks up on that. And that, of course, makes the kid restless. He doesn't feel safe. He feels things that he cannot address. So what happens then in like in this situation or situations like that, if a parent sees that, they cry right away because they realize what they do to their child. And instead of getting mad at Jimmy that he is in troubles in school and punishing him and all that, how it makes it only worse. So you get like in this way such a quick insight, which is
Mhm.
very yeah, which is just very, very helpful for the results. Now you can do a number of things. So if you use the footprint, as I do often, is mainly for relationships, right? But what
Mhm.
you do with this, and I have also squares and other shapes, but then I work with papers, sticky notes, and I write on the sticky side the topic, and then they don't know what they, and then they get the paper, put it just between their hands, like the namaste, right? Read it in their hands, and then they sense what they want to do with it and where to put it. And that is
And they
very
don't know what it
meaningful.
is.
Say it
So it's
again.
a, they don't know what it is, so it's like a
No,
blind
they don't know.
constellation.
I do that in the groups also. They get the paper, don't know what it is, but will represent. And it's in the group so crazy because other people do it. So you cannot make it up. And it
Yeah.
is so like relevant in the truth. Like getting that paper irrelevant in a group situation. Oh, I have such a pain in my back. And then nobody knows who you're representing. And then later it is, yeah, you represented my mother, which is on the paper. And then my mother has so much pain in her back. So you know, then you are right on track with what is showing up in the morphic genetic field, right? So that is on itself wonderful. I love the papers and I have the craziest outcomes with that. But you also do the same thing in a little bit different way with the fabrics and you go to the feelings and you go to the yeah, to the core of it too, really to the core of the problem and you help people center with that, right?
Yeah, so the recenter is like I said, is really like centering, like the word, like
Yeah.
really like recenter yourself for a moment and see with clarity like where you are and where, you know,
Yeah.
what everything is connected to.
Yeah. And
And then
you
if
probably
you
hear the
want to,
same. Oh, sorry, were you speaking?
yeah, you can go ahead.
No, you can. You go. You go.
So yeah, I want to say, and then for people who really feel like, okay, you know, I want to go deeper and get to the core and you know, do the trauma work, I have the reroute, which is a 3 month program. It's like an maybe an initiation into trauma work. Like some people also after these 3 months still continue with me, but those 3 months are the most intense. They're very powerful because we really get to the core. We're really going to do the trauma work. We're going to dig up everything. Um, and in these 3 months, we have like 12 sessions of 75 minutes,
Yeah.
and also a group constellation, which I
Yeah.
really like to combine it because we do the one-on-one work, and then maybe at some point, we will feel like something is stuck or there's some kind of blockage, or sometimes, our protection mechanisms are strong, so strong that we don't, there's something where we just can't get to.
Yeah.
And then the group is very, very helpful and very powerful, because a group, they don't know you, they don't have the same, protection mechanisms, and things just surface.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
You cannot go around it. It's in your face. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
What I
Exactly.
find special with a
But
group constellation is that when at the end, you know at a certain moment when it's done. I let it unfold in its own time. I'm never pushing through or whatever. And then suddenly they start to nod with their heads and you know it's done. I find that so fascinating. It's always the case. Yeah.
That's interesting. So you never put a time, like a deadline?
On the
You would,
constellation itself, like
yeah.
now it's done. No, I let actually I let it unfold as is, and then you know it's done. You see it, you sense it. You can say maybe the soul let them nod their head, but it's always like nodding their head. It's done. Yeah. How would you do it?
What was the longest constellation that you had then?
Oh, never more than an hour. In in
Really?
in a group. In a group, never more
Wow.
than.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because in my training it was like that as well. But we had like some very long constellations. Like we had 3-hour constellations sometimes and so on. Um, and I liked it. I liked it. But then, in my own process, I felt like, actually, if I like, I learned to respect the time in a way. Like I felt
Yeah.
like, if I have a time frame and I know that, this is that, it's never, I'm never like, on the clock or something, like my workshops
You
are
cannot. You are in a
20 minutes. No.
timeless zone. I
Yes,
know. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But approximately, the workshops are between 3 and 4 hours.
Hmm.
We
Yeah.
do two constellations, and we have sharing rounds, and like
Yeah.
everything before.
Yeah.
But then I will always, I have the time. I'm watching the time, and I'm trying to, kind of
Yeah.
give it a.
Well, this is interesting what you say. It depends also how many items do you set up, how many people or
Yes.
get a paper to participate because you can make it. I have that sometimes. I do like a 2 hour session privately. I call that something. Yeah, now I don't remember the word, but it's like a complete constellation. Like you have some one or two or three questions, and we all will unravel that, and that's like a 2 hour thing, and that is often hard to do in 2 hours. But that's also because of me, because I can set up, and then I get more intuitively ideas, more
Mm.
ideas intuitively, like, oh, okay, let me set up this one, let me add this, let me add that, and before you know, it's big.
It can
I
be
feel
never
it.
ending. Yes.
And yeah, because if you say like, but you experienced 3 hour constellations, did they then set up many people?
Yes, we were a big group in my
Like
training.
how many people? 20 people in the constellation for 20 different things or so?
Yeah, like we were, I think, a group of almost 50 people, doing the same training,
Yeah.
and each constellation was usually like around 20
Yeah.
people. Half,
They,
I guess half of the people were participating. So yes.
I have been there too, yeah, and also with 200 people. From how many are we going? I was for a while in American in the constellation circles. So it was
Mhm.
so big. So what I learned also, I studied with Bert Hellinger, the founder of the work, right? And at the end of his life, that he said something like, "I did it wrong." Oh yeah, wrong. He said, "I want to have it narrowed down, much smaller, because you bring so much energy in from all those people too." Because I noticed that too, and you probably too. If you had like 10 people in that space, it's sometimes hard to focus if you stand there like for 15 minutes. Like, can I sit down already? It is also hard. So they come then with their own stuff, or they zoom out or zone out. And so I like it also very much to bring it down to one person. I have been in constellations that there were 10 Holocaust dead people represented because it was relevant for the question of the client, right? And then 10 Nazis and how they found their ways across from each other. It is powerful. It is also, in a way, it becomes a spectacle almost. And you see different levels. Actually, some Nazis were remorseful and some totally not. They were still great. They knew what they were representing, which also gives you then the idea that you, with your own brain, with your own imagination, you're, if you don't know who you're representing, we call it blind, right? I like that by far. If you need to discover the trauma, if it is related to what you are experiencing at the moment, that is your request for doing a constellation, right? You usually come, when I was in a marketing group in America, we had to learn how to narrow it down. And then the most narrowed down situation we got was unexplained anger, unexplained depression, unexplained anxiety. And you can add their kind of phobias that you have no idea about. That's like the most narrowed down question for constellation work. Why do I feel like this? Why do I feel like that? Or I don't know why I feel like that, but something tells me it's pretty
Yeah,
vague, right?
yeah.
And you can also, do you also have
Which for constellation, it's great to when you don't know what your problem is, or it's very vague, or you feel
yeah,
like
yeah,
something's wrong, something doesn't feel right, but I can't put, words to it, then a constellation is a great way to find out like
yeah,
what is wrong
yeah.
and
The
what is
most
exactly.
craziest one of the most craziest one I once had was a girl that had to choose between three different guys.
Mm.
And her mother came to with her to the workshop, and her mother was not allowed to know that she had, like, that she was hanging out with three different guys that she wanted to choose from. What a silly
Very
question in
funny.
a way. Yeah, but funny. So I called them A, B, and C. And then
Mm-hmm.
on the other side of the paper was the name, and different people went to stand on those three papers and
Mm-hmm.
told them how they related to her. She was standing there herself, and then those three papers. And she made kind of a choice there. However, that is interesting because you connect on a certain level with the energy of those guys. What are their intentions, and what resonate the most? What do you feel more comfortable with? So there are so many things that you can feel there. And that was kind of funny. And I had to be very careful with using the names later on. But yeah, you can also say, okay, I want to move to this city or that city, and I cannot make a choice, or this job or that job. There's so much what you can do with it. Is there something you would like to share that you said it was like such an interesting constellation?
First thing that comes up, I'm trying to remember what was like the question or it became very, very almost like psychedelic. It was about being seen. Like in the beginning, it came with like she was like, maybe I'm afraid to be seen, or maybe I don't want to be seen. I don't know, something like that. Also very vague. And then and I also like I do constellations often. My workshops are in my living room, so I have very few people, which I love. Like
Yeah,
speaking with
like how
people.
many?
I
How many
love
do you? How
this.
many?
This was a constellation with we were only like me and three people.
Mm-hmm.
Usually
Mm-hmm.
it's around five or six, but this was like that's the minimum, of course. Like we need three people, otherwise.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Otherwise, it's a lot.
Yes. And but three very like three who always come, so they're also very experienced and very like,
Yeah,
in it,
I have those too.
very
You can
connected.
for
Yes.
years. Yeah, great.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you
And
can trust
so
them.
and so
Mm-hmm.
we had her, someone representing her, someone representing, and then it happened. Then one was like, I think I'm the shadow. Like, okay, let's put the shadow. So
Yeah.
she was the shadow, and then of course the other one was the light. And then it was really like, it sounds cheesy to say it like that, but we felt it, we experienced, what a constellation is. So it really happened. So there was like really this communication with the shadow. And what is the shadow actually, in the beginning it was like, "Ooh, I don't want to approach you and go away." And the shadow felt like, "But I just want you to look at me." you know I'm not your enemy, I'm part of you. And
Yeah.
then this happened. And then the light, with the light it was similar. Actually, the light in the beginning, the light felt like, in a different way, the light felt like both the shadow was like, I don't want you to be part of me, I don't want you. And the light was like, "You're so high up, I can never reach you." That
Yeah.
was like the two poles. And then slowly, gradually, the more they communicated and the more they looked at each other, and also the shadow and the light also looked at each other, which actually they had a very much better connection than the person with the light and the person with the shadow. And then slowly, slowly it came to a point where like the last image was the person, the representative of the person, like sitting in front of the light, and the light had the shadow, carried the shadow in their lap, and they were looking at each other and telling each other that they are, you know, the same thing. Like we are this, I am you and you are me. And it was like, wow, I have like,
The yin and yang.
yes, yes, it was very much that. I have like goosebumps when I think about it because it was like a spiritual moment, you know. It was very,
Yeah.
very
It's
profound.
like integrating the balance and becoming more balanced. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's so interesting. Yeah, the play with it is so fascinating too.
Very much.
And the sentences you say is like, how did I get to that? I don't know. You
And
really,
it's also
yeah,
interesting to see like how different people invite different constellations.
yeah,
Because this person is also like she's very spiritual and she's very, you know, so this happened.
yeah.
If another came with the same, you know, the same issue of like I'm afraid of being seen, something completely else would happen
Yeah.
probably,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. What I also do is group exercises that I embody something myself. Let's say I see like I do once a month like 10, 12 people in a city nearby Miami and in a beautiful space because I like it small too. I have been in hotel rooms, but then you have big groups, but I like just the intimacy of, and then often the same people come, or they bring their friends or whatever. The exercise.
Uh-huh.
So the exercise I do then, and I check a little bit out of the people. Sometimes I ask, what would you like more of in your life, or what are you running up against? And then they all say a thing, and then I choose it for topics, and then I say I embody that myself. For instance, let's say trust. So then I embody myself trust and I think about it, trust, 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 like really for maybe 12 seconds, 15 seconds, very intense. And they're standing around me in a circle and I say, find your place. Now
Mm.
they feel then how they relate to me. And then some will walk away, turn their backs, or come nearby, or stand somewhere and close their eyes, which you know that all is meaningful. And then I just give a reading how they relate to trust. And that is always spit on. It's always right. Now, one time I was in somebody else's home. I did a constellation workshop and there were a few people I never met. And I was embodying actually love.
Mm.
So I said the word love several times. And there was one woman that stood up and walked out. She says, I want to leave the house. So when I
Wow.
later say what I was embodying, and I said, well, I am embodying love. And she said, yeah, duh, of course, because I don't want love in my life anymore. I swore that I don't want to be involved with love anymore ever. She had many disappointing relationships. Could it be more clear? I mean, that was like, so things like that are amazing. And if I embody, for instance, money, I never say, of course, what it is. There are some people that come and they want to touch me and hug you, and they're like giggling, like, I want you, I want you. It's bizarre. So, why I do these exercises too is that people see in a different way how much we catch from each other, how much we pick up, and how much we actually carry within our subconsciousness what is actually out there and what other people, yeah, pick up from, and what it is eventually our block and not our block, and our
Yeah, it's
strengths or
like
our weaknesses.
we are actually constantly communicating on so many subconscious levels.
Yes.
Like it's real. It's
Yeah.
not some, you know, new age disconnected spiritual voodoo kind of thing. This is like it's something that we cannot explain maybe yet scientifically, but I'm
Yeah.
convinced, I always tell people I'm convinced it will be explainable at some point.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
we have a way of communicating with each other subconsciously, and we're picking up on that intuitively
Yeah.
without, you know, our rational mind processing it and so on, because that takes a
Yeah.
lot of time. This
Yeah.
communication is much more direct.
So that is so interesting, and I love how you explain it, and that's so the case. And well, on another level, what we get out of our heart, right? Now we know from the Heart Math Institute already for quite some years, and also from electromagnetograms, that we have like waves coming out of our body, like 8 feet, like
Mm.
3 meter almost, right? And if you have a lot of trauma in your heart, subconsciously people create a hard wall. I do a clearing stuff with that, right? That's from the emotion code. So then you have the heart wall, but still, so you protect your heart from coming more pain coming in because yes, it's all orchestrated in your head, but you feel it in your body, as you said, and specifically the heart area. Also, the words like heartbroken, heartfelt, heartwarming,
Yeah.
whatever. So then you have, if
Else
you,
I
for
can.
instance, have much trauma and pain, that is, new waves are sent out. But also, if you have loving kindness, it's also felt. So you create mixed feelings in other people with what you have still unhealed in your heart. So it's so fascinating. It's all so fascinating. Yeah.
Very.
So something you would like to share?
About something else.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
think
don't
we
know. We
met.
talked about many things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I have a question for you, right? That's my question. So, unfortunately, Jewish people have accumulated so much trauma, 2000 years of persecution and expulsion and everything else, burned at the stake by hundreds of thousands, so much. And then we had, as the top of the iceberg, the Shoah, the Holocaust, and Israel. And now October, and every 10 years, more or less, a war started by the neighbors of Israel. And now we have October 7 and so much trauma and fighting also. Do we still have hope? How would we ever be accepted by our neighbors? Will we ever? So it is a very difficult way of doing trauma, and then losing so many young people again, let alone the horrific murders that happened, huh? The slaughtering that have been denied by many people, that Israel did it themselves. So there are so many traumas on many levels. How do you feel that constellation work is perceived in Israel as a
Um,
healing method in a way?
so it's getting more and more known and more accepted. There is a school actually. There, Shai Gaster, he founded a school. He lived in California before. He's Israeli though, and he came back to Israel and he opened a school of family constellation. Um,
Yeah,
I did some modules also in the school, so it's more and more known. They were very active, like after October 7th, offering like free, Zoom meetings and helping therapists to work with trauma
yeah,
as well, like how to use Constellation to work with trauma. Yeah, it's still not very known, and people are still for example, I really wanted to work in a NGO or something that works with the Nova survivors, because I know that I would have so much to give and I could really help, and I was also, on a personal level very much connected. I could have been there like just a few years ago. This was like so I felt like I could really help them and connect with them. But then, because I'm not a psychologist or a social worker, it's still not seen as something,
yeah,
serious enough,
yeah.
which is sad, which is unfortunate. But
Yeah, you could maybe do it with breath work or with another modality that you're certified in, that you do something like circles like that. And yeah, it is also hard. It is just very difficult. But I think the way how you use with the fabrics and focus on semantics, no, not semantics, on somatic, right? That is very helpful. And in combination,
I work with a lot of trauma, like the private clients that come to me, like
yeah,
the essence of what I do is trauma work. Like I feel like
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
Um, but
And then the
yes,
inherited trauma, let's set that to the side, the current trauma, your current life, and it
yes.
impacts relationship, it impacts everything.
What was very interesting, like after October 7th, what I feel, happened is that we all experience, like there's the collective trauma. We all experience the
Yes,
trauma, and
yes,
that
yes.
some much, on a much more direct and horrific level, but also, everyone who lives here and even like Jews on the outside. And then I felt like what happened, even on a personal level, but also in mainly my clients, what I saw is that like actually this trauma, it opens up the deeper traumas. So it's
Yeah,
like,
the
like
chain. Yeah,
mm, exactly.
Yeah.
which on the one hand is really heavy and hard, but on the other hand I saw it like we have an opportunity here, because some people, they're so like not able to function anymore that they have no other choice than to look at what's happening, so they have to do the healing work, which is a chance to
Yeah.
to finally
Yeah.
heal, and so much healing
Yeah.
has to happen here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know. I know. Well, it is wonderful the work you do, not only because I do it myself and I love it so much, but I'm so proud of you that you established it there and you're doing it. And I will be in Israel like in beginning of May, so I hope to meet you. I want to
yes,
thank you for
thank you
being here,
too.
Farhan. It was
Thank you for
amazing
having
to
me.
meet you. Yeah, and
You,
we continue to talk. Thank you so
definitely.
very much for sharing everything and your
Yeah.
beautiful, powerful work.
Thank
Take
you very
care. Bye
much.
bye.
Bye bye.
And you guys who are listening, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. I am Carla van Welstum, founder of Heart-Based Solutions, where I help you with psychology, neuroscience, and holistic modalities transform your life, career, and relationships. If you're new here, make sure you click the subscribe button and hit the bell to get notified for new videos. Any link that I mentioned in this video, you can find in the description box below.